Hi everyone, I'm Mick Sykes.
And it's Gypjaq on the attack.
And we're the hosts of The Nigg Tree here on Anchor FM.
If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Here's why.
It's totally free.
The creation tools allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer.
Anchor will distribute your podcast for you to all the streaming platforms, so you can be on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and so much more.
You can make coin from your podcast with no minimum listenership.
It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place.
Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
And don't forget to listen to us here on anchor.fm/Anukai.
ANVKAI. Hey, ANVKAI.
Come sit with us.
ANVKAI. ANVKAI. Hey.
Blog Talk Radio.
Yo!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of the Nigg Tree. I am your producer, Mr. Sykes, and I'm here with your host,
Gypjaq on the attack. Wow.
And tonight's topic is Pick Me Ass Niggers. Don't forget to follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, or wherever you find your podcasts. Don't be afraid to call in tonight if you have something to add to our conversation, and that call-in number is 914-205-4558. We're also on Instagram at Nigg Tree, and also here on Blog Talk Radio or blogtalkradio.com/Anukai, and we're also on YouTube, so make sure you like and subscribe and follow us there. And we have a special guest tonight, Davon Smith, and he actually brought this topic to us. And you can introduce yourself, Davon, and tell the people like who you are and what you do and where you're from.
Oh, hey, everybody. Thank you. My name is Davon, and I am, I do fashion. I work in fashion, actually, luxury retail, but I also do advocacy, and then I also talk about topics like this all the time. So, and my Instagram, for those that know, it's TheVonFactor, so Davon Factor. And yeah, so, and it's funny, the topic, that topic, they stem from that very toxic ass conversation that we had, that I sent to you.
Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about that a little bit tonight. But pick me's, let's define that for the people who don't know, I guess.
So, you want me to define it?
Oh, you can go right ahead.
So, for me, someone that's a pick me, I guess more so on the LGBTQ side, because there's like a diaspora when it comes down to it. You know, women have their version. Cis straight men have their version, and then, we have ours. But, I mean, in a unanimous world, it basically is someone that is striving so hard to, make sure to conform to certain narratives societal-wise, and doing what they can in order for them to, be with someone, basically. So that's my version. I don't know about everybody else.
Agreed. It's the extreme, and trust me, it's extreme. It's the extreme lean on assimilation to any kind of social normativity in order to get chose. And like you said, it has its different faces based on gender, based on sexuality, based on social, based on socioeconomic upbringing and all kinds of shit. I say one of the better or one of the more clear versions of pygmies to people would be like bitches that go to white school.
Ooh.
Ooh. I was like, wait.
Oh no! Y'all should know by now that I just fucking throw it out there.
That's a whole show in and of
itself. And
but,
right.
we're gonna definitely spread it around. But if I have to give somebody an immediate understanding of what a pick-me is, I know they understand what that looks like. Where somebody is like going to some other woman who essentially allows herself to be controlled by patriarchy and perpetuates it herself. Like, oh, well, the woman is supposed to be docile. The woman has to be submissive no matter how the man is. The woman needs to make sure that the man is pleased and comfortable at all times. How dare you not have food on the table when he gets home? How dare the house be a certain kind of way? Bitch, you trying to go to work? Like, like all of these things.
That's crazy.
To go to college?
You're raising your daughter to go to college. You're going to work, and the money is not immediately given to your man.
To me, a pick-me is like kind of piggybacking off what Jack said. Like a pick-me is someone that will say and do anything to get chose.
Right.
And
so to bring it,
that, I feel like that's the essence of it, for me at least. Like that's the essence of what like pick-me's are. And like you said, they can be straight, gay, anything like in between. There's pick-me's in every sort of community group you can imagine.
And pick-me's to me as well. Like when we talk about pick-me as niggas in terms of just like what it is socially, pick-me's also will do that to have friends. Like I see some of my trans sisters very starved for cis women's attention that will legitimately try to validate turfdom in order just to have, just in order to be friends with cis women. And it's like,
and for those who don't know, TERF stands for Trans Exclusionary Radical Feminists. So radical feminists that don't believe trans women are women. For those that don't know out there.
So they'll be like, oh, my sister is not transphobic. Trust me, I've known her for X, Y, and Z years while letting her say some completely transphobic shit anywhere, in any space, whether it be online or in person or anything. It's nuts. So pygmies are not regulated to romantic relationships. It's just the need to fit in somewhere. You know that one kid that like, in school that was getting picked on, and then suddenly he comes in with the new Jordans just to try to like fit in. That nigga's a pick me. Like, wear your Saucony's.
So to throw that, I would hate to have to throw a certain individual under the bus. I mean, she's not my friend, and she's known on YouTube, but it would have to be Blair White.
White.
If we're going to talk about
Queen of the white pick-me.
Because she attacked trans women on a whole other level if they don't adhere to societal standards on what a woman should look like. And
she's very big on that.
To me, like I'm just like, girl, like really, like you're sitting with Ben Shapiro, letting him devalue who you are as a woman because he doesn't believe that you actually are a woman, and you're going to sit there and agree with him on all of the issues like Black Lives Matter is a joke and all the other shit, and then you're going to sit there and just let him devalue you as a trans woman. Girl, bye. I mean, to me, that would be an example of a trans woman.
And the sad part about that, like, and that goes for pick-me's in general, like the group that they aspire to be a part of oftentimes doesn't fuck with them. Doesn't fuck
at
with
all.
Them. Like, conservatives don't, like, fuck with transness or, like, the LGBT community in any way. And yet she's constantly, like, Blair White as an example, constantly like picture them, even though they constantly throw her under the bus. That hasn't changed, but like Candace Owens like eviscerated her basically, and like now, like
so bad.
especially now the conservative community is like, you let a black woman tear you apart? Yeah, we're not really fucking with you because that shouldn't happen. But she's still on her pick-me grind, throwing people under the bus, getting black trans women's pages shut down.
Right. And she feels like she can't be touched, and then she just ain't ran to the right person. And then when she was talking about your friend, I was like, oh, no, ma'am.
It's really too much. And then sometimes, like when it comes to the queer community, when it comes to gay men, a lot of times pick me looks like mask for mask. Pick me looks like niggas that are Vogue queens down, Bush Queen voguing femme down. But let a nigga, let the trade come through, they're gonna butch right on up. And the worst part is that you can see all the work it takes. Like if you ever these people's friends and they was just kikiing, voguing down, limp wristing down at your house, and then y'all invite the trade over, and then suddenly like, yo, what's up, my nigga, da 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 da. You see all the work that goes in to them trying to assimilate to this masculinity that they don't even really belong to, and it's not code switching. It's literally them trying their best to assimilate into this group of people that do not accept them. Like, this nigga would still not walk with you in the street hand in hand, nigga. So, like, what is that?
But with that, so with that said, how do you think pick-me culture, or pick-me-ism, I guess, is harmful?
It sets everything back.
Where do I start?
This is gonna hit people. This is gonna hit people real hard. Mad at y'all niggas in the civil rights movement and your niggas' grandparents and all kinds of shit. Mad at them motherfuckers was pick me for whiteness. Let's be real. Integration was a pick me ass movement. Let me sit on your. Let me come and sit on your bar stool. Let me come and sit in the front of your bus. Let me come and shop at your store. Let me come in, etc. It's harmful because, end of the day, it does not point towards liberation. It points towards assimilation as the right way to go. And then when those people have children or get into the ability to affect the generations after them, then it forces this idea that assimilation is better than liberation or revolution. Because it's revolutionary to be yourself whether you have friends or not. It's revolutionary to be yourself whether that means you're going to get married or not. It's revolutionary to be yourself and have your own, whether that means you're going to be invited into the store or the cookout or whatever the fuck. Or not.
Yes, and I think it also dives into like self-hatred amongst communities. Specifically, I mean, if we talk about black people and you talk about how the standard of beauty, noses like mine or lips like mine, they're not favored on black features, but they're favored on people like Kim Kardashian. Or when it comes down to body, when it comes down to anything that is associated with black, if it's on a black person, then all of a sudden it's not attractive. But if it's associated with any of those women like the Kardashians or even the white women that blackfish, all of a sudden it's like it's beautiful. And I'm like, but it can be beautiful on me regardless. Like, look at how they'll treat Blue Ivy.
Right.
And how they were picking her apart and saying, like, oh, she's going to grow up to look like her daddy. And me personally, I mean, I honestly feel like Jay-Z is a beautiful man. That's just me because I've always looked at black features as beautiful. I was never taught that it was an ugly thing. So I always thought Cora's hair was beautiful. But when you're brought into society and then you're brainwashed to think that your hair is horrible when actually scientifically, if you want to talk about versatility and you want to talk about not just with versatility, but also with hydration and the way that our hair can withstand a lot of things compared to other races. We have a great grade of hair. Cora's hair is not. Cora's hair is beautiful, and until we adopt that, I mean, it's always going to be looked at as less than when it shouldn't be.
But can there be assimilation without self-hate?
That's true.
So, like, you know what I'm saying? So, like, to me, like, it's like, you know what I'm saying? Not saying that, you know, I'm not saying that what you said doesn't need to be said, because the details are extremely important in my book. But to me, like, some shit is obvious. Like, if somebody says that assimilating is what's happening, you should realize that what you're saying to yourself and to your children and to the friends around you is that whatever it is that you are isn't good enough to be valid in society. So you gotta switch it up to whatever the current default is, or whatever the supreme situation is. And right now we all know that that's whiteness. So, you know, we got women and men and everybody trying to do everything to keep their hair closer to a white man's hair, all the way from getting Caesars to perms. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, Madam C.J. Walker, bitch, congratulations. You one of the first black millionaires, period. Use a pick-me, and you turned an entire generation of women into pick-me's. And it's not to go without saying that there were needs that her methods met in order for people to be able to make money and, you know, live life. But at the same time, I don't know. I've been on this since the last episode. To me, it's give me liberty or give me death. You know, like, y'all needed to really push the idea that black was beautiful from the top to the bottom and cut it out with all the processing and cut it out with all the trying your best to look white. Now, we know that there are African tribes that their hair is more straight. We know that we have African people who are born blue-eyed and blonde. We know these things now, but we don't even get to really celebrate those things as black things currently, because we got them through this lens of whiteness. You know what I'm saying? So, like, it's going to take a lot of years of decolonizing to be able to even accept those things as facts. We are still literally arguing with people about the fact that shit is true. Lauryn Hill had to change a lyric. You know what I'm saying? Like, people are like literally finally coming through, like, okay, we get it. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, does everybody get it? Nah. People are still picking me.
No,
I mean, internalized racism and internalized, like, homophobia are a huge part of, like, pick-meism, and I think
internalized misogyny as well.
Internalized misogyny as well.
Right.
And I feel like until, like, we unpack these things, it's going to be hard for people to sort of, like, move past the idea of, like, pushing to be, like, accepted or even tolerated. Also, I want to say, if you guys are listening to us live, and you want to join in the conversation, our call-in number is 914-205-5458. So feel free to call in if you have something to say or a point of view or perspective that you want to share. Devon, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. What were you about to say?
No, I was just going to say, basically, because it's so ingrained in the culture, the only thing that you can do as an individual that knows the truth about the matter is to keep speaking truth to power, and you also have to surround yourself and continue to surround yourself with people that will know the truth, because it's inevitable. There are people that are going to continue to spread the false narrative that you have to assimilate in order for you to be successful. And we've seen with certain celebrities that is not the case. They may get a lot of pushback, but I feel like you have to keep going in order for you to, you know, push through with all of the bullshit that we got going on. It's always going to be people, especially black people, because, child, we've seen it with the administration that we currently got. And you've seen it with Candace Owens. You see it with Sheriff What's the Sheriff Duncan, the one that was on with Don Lemon, trying to sit here and tear down Black Lives Matter. Like, you see it with like so many of these quote unquote progressive black people that say that, oh, like, we're not slaves to white supremacy. We're actually fighting against it. But Trump isn't all bad. He's actually good for black people. And I'm like, really? We need to go down the history books because, I mean, honestly, when it comes down to it, the Century Park 5 situation, and although people will say throughout that letter he wasn't saying anything that was race, still were racist undertones. And if that was the case, he put out a letter on those boys that end up being innocent. He didn't do any of that, and he didn't exert any of that energy when it came down to boys like Dylan Ruth. He didn't do that with the Columbine shooting. He didn't do that with anything else where it was a massacre of multitudes of people.
Right.
But you did for 5 black boys.
Shit, at this point, if you endorse any candidate, in my opinion, based on historical facts, you depict me. You're still sitting here thinking that there's something in the system for you. So, like, you're still assimilating to some degree. You know, like, like all of them are essentially not for our good. And people want to, again, talk about the lesser of two evils when it's really death by guillotine or death by 1,000 cuts, you know? So it's like, that's not, like, neither of those things are less evil. Both of them are pretty 100% evil. They both mean your death, you know?
So I actually put up a status about something like that. So my thing is, when it comes down to it, so do you not vote, or do you not do your due diligence when you do research on the candidates that would better suit the country that you're still living in? Because that would be my question for anybody that, you know, has the whole lesser of two evil situations, because inevitably when it comes down to it, if you don't, you do, you fuck. And it's not like anyone's really helping the situation when no one comes to a clear consensus about what to really do.
Mm-hmm. Well, we have a whole episode about that. If you guys want to check that out, it's called Should Black People Continue to Rock the Vote or Find Another Way? That was 2 episodes ago. Yeah. So if you guys look us up on YouTube or Spotify or wherever you find your podcast, it's there. You should take a listen to that. And we really get into depth with that. We didn't really come to a clear consensus with the panel that we had about that particular topic, because it is something that's really like, well, damned if you do and damned if you don't. But what we all did agree on is that, like, too much effort and too much faith is placed in the political system, which hasn't worked for us thus far, and we haven't spent, especially as a lady, enough time organizing to find, like, an alternative way.
Right. We can't be talking about, oh, what do we do, when we, like, can't even really talk about the shit in a public forum about what exactly we should be doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, any public forum is going to be watched by the system that means to keep us where the fuck we are. So we have to, the first thing we have to do is organize to a point where we get to communicate on our own wavelength and in our own spaces that don't include whiteness in any regard, so that we can find an alternative. And, you know, the alternative is going to be some hard work and might not be very pretty, but it is what it is. I brought all of that up just to say that to still have that faith in the system is pick me as hell. And to still be working with that system instead of spending your time, energy, and money on finding an alternative and organizing in order to find that alternative is pick me as hell. So, you know, it goes beyond what we normally hear it about. You know what I'm saying? It's an overall assimilative attitude towards anything. You know, And again, some of this shit is survival, so we're not at all demeaning anybody for the choices that they make. Like, there's mad pick-me shit that a nigga does at work just to keep their job. You know what I'm saying? Like, code switching in and of itself has a pick-me nature to it. Like, I should be able to speak however the fuck I want to speak, you know what I'm saying, so long as it's professional and I'm not cussing and I'm not, like, you know, doing anything of that nature. But I should be able to speak my full AAVE in any space as long as you understand what I'm saying. But no, I have to code switch and speak a good standard English. And
I used to do that, but I don't do that.
Make sure. No more. I mean, I teach, so I teach urban kids, so I don't really have to do it either. But you know, many of us have to because you know you in a call center or you know you work at a particular kind of job that requires that shit, and it's something that you have to do to keep that job. And no one's telling you to not keep your job. Like you got to eat, you got to pay rent, you know. But I feel like if everyone saw where their pick-me-ness applies, then there would be a deeper need for an alternative, you know? Because, like, once you know, then it's like, damn, like, I can't help but see that I just fucking lowered myself to be available to this situation, you know?
Yeah, I mean, even with that, though, I do feel like if you don't necessarily have like a foundation, like a core foundation that's established within your community in order to build people up, then they're going to continue to be in that position. So I feel like within, just speaking because we're all people of color, well, we all are people of color on the phone. I don't want to assume nothing. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. With that being said, like, I mean, there's really, I feel like what's missing within our community really is that core foundation of teaching about self-care and self-worth and really knowing and honing in on your self-worth and what that looks like, especially with accountability, which, I mean, I could talk all day about accountability, but I feel like with those factors that are missing, you can see it. I mean, you can see it not just with our politics, but you can see it in everyday life. Like I was told not too long ago, because I have hair that's not processed. It's natural state. You know, I create things like, you know, rice water and, you know, use aloe vera plant and all that stuff for my hair. Because there's a lot of sulfate and all the other stuff in some of this stuff, but that's a whole nother, you know, conversation about, you know, black hair products. Well, this black man came up to me and was like, oh, I think you would look real nice with a low cut. So when we gonna chop that mess off? And the first thing I told him, I said, sir, why is what's on my head mess?
Right.
And he was like, it's not professional. I said, but who said it's not professional? Well, you're working at an all-white establishment. I said, so we're assimilating to whiteness when it comes down to my hair, so you deem it not professional. But you're the same man that believes in, you know, God and, you know, religion, yet he made you in his image. So why is it that my hair is a mess, but a white man's hair that woke up out of bed and he ain't do shit to it acceptable? I've seen many of white women walk up out of, you know, roll up out of bed, not do shit to their damn head, and ain't nobody say nothing. But the moment that I present myself and my naturalness, untwist my hair, and put whatever I need to put to keep it moisturized and walk about my motherfucking door, it's a problem. I don't accept it.
Well, what was their response to that? I want to know.
I mean, he looked offended. I mean, I was at work, so honestly, I probably shouldn't have said certain stuff, but I just had to let him know, you could try that with another black person that's not secure about his shit, but I'm not the one. Like, I take pride in it. My father and my mother have always taught me that black in itself is beautiful, from the cuticles on my head all the way to the soles of my feet. regardless of whatever shade that you are, whether you're my shade or whether you're Alec Weck shade. At the end of the damn day, it was created so you're beautiful, period. I'm not going to sit here and listen to this bullshit about, why don't you cut it off? Why don't you change your mindset? That's
right.
not my problem
again,
that you think African hair is fucked up. It's not. It's beautiful.
To speak to something that you said about them, you know what I'm saying, him being God-fearing and this and the third and made in his image, if he's an American Christian, 9 times out of 10, he's not even worshiping the true black version of that God. He's indoctrinated into a white version of that God. So the image by which he wishes to assimilate to, or by which he wishes to be recognized as, is a white image. So his whole, you know what I'm saying, his whole indoctrination is still based on whiteness, regardless.
Which if he knew you're not supposed to make image of the Lord, but a lot of people don't go into the whole. I just knew it because I was a preacher's child. So a lot of people sitting up here with these pictures of white Jesus, and, we can go all day about the Old Testament, the New Testament, and all of the different books that was supposed to be a part of the Bible, but I'm pretty sure he didn't know that either. He just saw a picture of white Jesus in his black grandmother's room and just thought that, this is what he looks like. And
anytime anyone told me to cut my hair, I would just be that was trying to come from a Christian perspective. I was like, so Samson is nobody?
Nobody.
I'm like, y'all don't read y'all
that
book.
Story.
Right, I'm like, y'all don't read y'all book.
Sodom and Gomorrah mixed up.
I'm like, y'all don't read y'all book. And that's a part of being a pick-me too. That's a part of being a pick-me too. It's like you have to kind of live in this level of ignorance and lack of understanding of history and things of that nature. Like, okay, to speak on the foundation of what you're speaking of, there's no way to treat a people living in a society that is not built for them to have self-worth in themselves if they don't know who they are, if they don't know their history.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? While we're still fighting amongst ourselves about whether or not homosexuality came from Greece. Yuck. While we're still fighting
that don't
about
make no
that.
Sense to me.
Okay, thank you.
God.
While we're still fighting about that, and these hoteps are pick-meing to the division that white supremacy likes to place on us, we won't agree on what history is to be able to have our children go out and talk to each other about history and unpack shit together on their own. Because then one child is being taught the truth about how literally anything good and beautiful came from Africa, especially if it has anything to do with love. So, homosexuality is some African shit. And, you know what I'm saying, while another child is learning that, buck breaking is what made the African man gay. You know what I'm saying? Like, while those two children now have to argue, and it's creating the further division. So somebody is going to leave that situation feeling like shit. We've gotta know we don't need to be a monolith, but we need to understand where our history lies. And as African Americans, understand that we come from a particular part of Africa. And you motherfuckers that think that y'all Egyptian, y'all are not Egyptian. Y'all don't have shit to do with Kemet, at least not based on the fact that you are here in America. Maybe past lives, maybe some other spiritual shit, sure. But your blood, my nigga, you's a West African nigga. And 8 times out of 10, you are the super Northwest African or way Southwest African. Let's be very real. So y'all realize that and realize what those people's tenets were and how those people acted and what those people believed, and what came from those people, you'll understand how much of the bullshit y'all are actually taught about that's keeping us divided. It's a pick-me that kicks their child out of the house because they're gay. You don't want nobody to come in your house
because they're a murderer,
right?
Or if they rape other children. Because and it's so sad because I know a boy. When I was growing up, I know a boy that literally went to jail for sexual assault of a minor, still in the house with his mama. But if he was a homosexual, oh God forbid, she would have kicked his ass out the house. But I know for a fact he's still in the damn house. And I'm just like, but you have children that come to your house. He went to jail and he is a sexual offender. Yeah, you still let children come to the fucking house, and he's still in there.
That's
And
crazy.
but yet, I know for a fact because his mother is against homosexuality because she's like the CDC says that anal sex is high risk to HIV and this and that or whatever.
Lord.
I won't.
I won't.
Yeah, I shall not.
I won't. But let's get into. I don't know how I'm gonna let you talk about it and share it, but let's get to the conversation that you had on Facebook, which kind of led to this whole discussion. You don't gotta name names, but if you want to kind of.
I'm not gonna name names because he's child. So, make a long story short, this boy put up a post talking about everybody in a relationship except for me. I got everything that everybody wants, basically. And so, he is an attractive boy. He I guess he comes off as masculine. He has like a certain build to himself. In his pictures he dresses low-key trade-esque or whatever. And so I put in there because I don't remember what I said verbatim. I just remember saying, because a lot of people in the comments were saying, like, oh, you're beautiful, like, you'll find somebody, or, oh, like, if I was in your state, I would snatch you up. And so all I said was, it's funny because the person that could be right for you could be sitting in your face, but you're too busy playing. And I wasn't talking about me because I have no interest in the boy at all. And so then he put it back and said, no, it's just these no good niggas. I said, no, maybe it has something to do with the fact that you have to look inside yourself. Because honestly, when it comes down to it, it's not what piece of the table, it's what you can give. So he felt some type of way, and so the conversation went into the inbox. That conversation in the inbox was like I didn't think it was that deep. I mean, honestly, if he didn't feel the type of way, he definitely didn't need to bring it up, but apparently he did, and he wrote like a long paragraph talking about that's not how it is, and basically, if you read it in the messages, try and discredit me and make it seem like you just want me this and that or whatever. I'm like, no, that's not what that was about, and I can see why you're single. So,
wasn't it one of his friends that you got in there to the inbox?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. So, because I'm friends with this person too, and the post reads, so apparently it's easy for everyone to get a man except for me. This person definitely wasn't trying to say that they have no responsibility or accountability in the idea that they're not in a relationship. I remember reading that inbox thread. I guess is what you call it, those messages, and thinking like, okay, like, yeah, what you said was definitely poignant, you know what I'm saying? And now looking at the comment thread, the person that was the original poster seemed to, if not agree with you, at least take what you said into account, right? It's his friend who didn't even really get to see that part of the situation. That
he tried to read me as friend, or he tried to, or thought he tried to read me as friend. It was not even that deep. I was like, sweetie, you don't know you from a motherfucking can of paint. Like, and my whole thing is the way that I am on there is the way that I am in person. So it's not like I would have said it to your motherfucking face. It wasn't that serious. And we literally just had a conversation the day before talking about I hate when people say that stuff isn't that deep, but there are some things that people just take out of context and make it bigger than what it is. And I just was like, damn. Like
I feel like to be honest, both of y'all did that shit. Knowing the person, knowing the person that was the original poster, that's a butch queen.
Mm-hmm.
He's not at all trying to adorn masculinity whatsoever. I mean, he dresses in semi-trade-ish clothes, but they be tight. He will wear a crop top. He's got like, you know what I'm saying, like thick hips and like has like somewhat of a feminine physique, though he does try to work out to like get his chest smaller and get his stomach smaller and things of that nature. He's a very feminine individual. And like the person in the inbox was saying, it's like his where he was coming from, and again, knowing him from other groups and having spoken to him on the phone and things of that nature, he was coming from the idea that like there is this block, you know what I'm saying? And it could be him, but it could also be the idea that like his femininity is not sought after or valued, because that is something that he does struggle with. So I feel like neither of you in the inbox were like really listening to each other. I will say the dude in the inbox got very, very hot very quickly. He could have calmed down and spoke to you a little bit. You know what I'm saying? He could have spoke to you with a little bit more patience.
Yeah, but it really, honestly, on my end, because I don't know them from nothing, and my thing is, if I don't know you on social media, I don't want to sound like an asshole, but if I don't know you on social media, it's kind of like it's irrelevant, because 9 out of 10, a lot of people don't say a lot of shit to people's faces when they're off of social media. So I don't really take into account, you know, like when I leave social media, I have a real life. So I'm not about to be like, oh, I'm so hurt, or oh, I'm so upset. Like, I just said what I said, and if you got a problem with it, you can definitely inbox me. It's really not that deep. Actually, the boy ended up inboxing me because I ended up blocking, as you saw on the thing, I ended up blocking him. And, you know, we had a conversation, and I told him at the end of the conversation, because it was a very mature conversation, he felt like what I was saying in the original message was vindictive, and he got what I was saying, and I was like, I apologize that it did come off like that. You know, I said my apologies, or may not accept it. I mean, I don't really know. I mean, he said that he, you know, moved past it, or whatever the case may be, but it really wasn't that deep for me, because at the end of the day, it was social media, and I said what I said. You had an issue. Apparently, he inboxed me, and, you know, that's it. And it kind of was like, I don't know. It just, and to me, I just felt like it just wasn't that deep for him to, like, write me a whole, I didn't even read the whole entire thing until after I said what I said about, I see why your ass single, and I had blocked him, because I was like, I already know there's going to be some bullshit. Like, you just sitting here writing, and I read the first part. I think it said, if you don't have nothing nice to say, don't say it at all.
That was annoying. But he made some points in that thing, especially at what it pertains to you having made a post about, because I come from the ilk that if I'm going to say it on social media, if I see it and I have an opinion about it from social media, I will say it to your face. So this is me, like, doing that. He had a few points where he was saying how you had previously made a post about how people don't value femininity in men or something like that. And you know, that's what the original poster is going through, and most likely was coming from by making that post. Because again, like, the original poster never like made it seem like he's a bad bitch or something like that, or like everybody should be, you know, he should be so well sought after.
But
he was
the
literally
thing
just
with
saying
me
that
is,
everybody.
Well, I mean, not to cut you off, but the thing with me was when I made that post and me not actually knowing that person off social media and you going off the photos, we see two different things. I don't see a butch queen when I see him. Like, so my perception apparently at the time was different from, you know, us talking about it now. So that's why I made the comment that I made. Otherwise, if I felt otherwise no different, then it would be a different response. But at the current moment, you know, I said what I said because that's how I felt. And him defending, and I didn't read the whole entire thing because I've spoken to on the phone, and the way that he talk on the phone whenever he angry about some shit is the way that he interprets what he writes. So I automatically was like, oh, this is not like I'm not about to do this, because if I read this, I'm gonna get irritated, and I probably would have said something a little bit worse because I know how I am. And so that's why I said what I said, and I just left it alone because I was like, it's really not that serious. Like, you sitting up here making it seem like this is your best friend, ride or die. Like, he about to give you a house, a car, and pay for your rent for like the next, year or some shit.
Well, if he knows that the original poster is indeed like a butch queen and his fam, it could have just looked like overall like hypocrisy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, I know me personally, it's a flaw. I try my best not to take a lot personally, but I do take a lot of things personally. And I know I take hypocrisy quite personally when I see it from anybody that I might like even deem to care about. You know what I'm saying? Like even in the slightest. So it's like, I'm not saying I understand his anger. I think he could have definitely come off in a different way, but I think y'all could have had a better conversation had like the accountability been 100% there. Had he literally like gotten to the point about him being feminine and y'all having that in common, or at least having that point in common, and saying it nicer, you might have understood where the original poster was coming from, and not like, you know what I'm saying, it wouldn't have been like the big deal that it turned out to be for everybody else.
But it wasn't even, he agreed with me in the original post, but his problem was he didn't have an initial problem with me until when I blocked old boy, and then he sent him, the post, which if he sent him the post regardless of whatever,
could you call them a pick me in the
right?
I called him pick me. Right.
In the
inbox. So like you took him
right.
So you like actually dubbed him something other than his name without like knowing him.
Yeah.
So like from there, I can absolutely understand why he would be upset.
Well, I'm not saying that he's not allowed to be upset. Like, I'm not talking about the boy that posted the original post. What I'm saying is, as far as the person that was writing me, I was kind of like, y'all don't have, like, it's like you're not even like real legit like homeboys, like you've known each other for 6 years. Like, my best friend for 5 years, if somebody was to talk, mess about him, this, that, whatever, I'm dismissing their ass, and we're not going to have a conversation. Like, you're irrelevant. Like, you're not going to sit here and talk about him in front of my face and think that we're about to hang out. That's how I am. I dare the shit. I'm not about to sit here and associate myself with you or anything like that. I'm not about to sit here and explain nothing because I'm not wasting my energy on it. Because you're not worth my time at that point. Like, no one is going to talk about my best friend like that in front of my face if it was really that much of an issue, because he didn't know me from nothing. All he knew me from was social media, and we had a couple phone conversations. Actually, probably just 2 phone conversations. So it really wasn't that deep because you don't even know me no way. But so, like, I took accountability for what? Huh?
No, I'm sorry. Continue.
So, but all for what it was, I said my apologies to the young man that I originally, had the conversations with in the inbox. Not necessarily the one that I was talking to, but where he got the screenshot to whatever his name is. I said my apologies about that because I see how that looks like that was vindictive, or that was shady, or that was, nasty in a certain way. I can see that. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, no, I didn't say that, because I ain't on that fake shit. Yes, I said it. Yes, that's how I genuinely feel. And I wrote that to him. I said, that's how I genuinely current moment. And no, I didn't say it to you in the comments. And if you would have asked me about it, I would have told you. Like, that's just how I genuinely feel. My feeling ain't changed about it. And I understand what he means by, because I do write a lot of posts about that. I never directed it at myself, but I wrote a lot of posts about it, and I can see where he's coming from, But the conversation me and him had was completely different when it came down to being feminine, and because I think I was talking to him actually more so about workplace and about how me, because I'm perceived in a certain type of way. So people look at me a certain type of way because of the way that I dress, and think that, I'm them, which I don't have a problem with. You can think whatever the fuck you want because you don't know me. Or because I dress a certain type of way, they label me certain things. So I completely understand where that comes from. And, there's no shame in my game. I accept it wholeheartedly. So that's the conversation that we had.
Indeed. And it was riveting to read. I was like, ooh.
Listen, it was just so extra because I was like, because honestly, him on the phone was just like the moment that he didn't agree with something, it was hostile. It wasn't like, oh no, I don't agree. This is why I don't agree. And he automatically raised his voice, and I was like, damn, like, you can disagree with me. It's not that deep. Like, I mean, you ain't got to, like, raise your voice and get all mad. Like, it just was like I understand passion, but it was aggression. And it was like, why? Like, what's the point? And so, like, after a couple of those conversations, and after that inbox, I was like, this ain't gonna work. We're not gonna keep having these conversations.
So this was more of like a
real
case
friend.
of like a misunderstanding than actual like pick-me-ism.
Right.
You said what? Oh, like why I called him a pick-me?
Well, no. I said like in this case it was more of like a misunderstanding than someone being like an actual pick-me.
Well, no, the perception for why I said pick me is because from my perception when I read it and I saw the comments, that's why I said that, because
I understand that.
initial post to me, because to his point, I didn't know him off the social media or whatever. But when I read it and then I read the comments, I was like, this is some pick me ass shit. Like, you gonna make a post talking about, why am I single, this and that, or whatever, and then people see you as an attractive man, and there are people that will probably perceive him as like, a masculine trait, this and that, or whatever. And you see the people in the comments, and then, like I said, I thought it in my head, and I wrote it to and then I didn't attack him in the comments, because if you look at the I didn't attack him. I just basically spoke truth to power. That's how I feel, and that's it. Like, I didn't think it was like, a big thing.
Yeah, I don't think you said anything crazy. I think the thing that made your friend feel crazy is the fact that you called him a pick-me in it. Like, and, again, I feel like it was a situation of miscommunication because, like,
yeah.
If you know him, if you know the original poster, like, even just a little bit, like, if you really focus in and zero in on, like, if he shows up a lot on your timeline, you can kind of tell just by, like, certain things he speaks, certain pictures he chooses for his expressions, certain things that he's a femme queen, he's a bush queen. You know what I'm saying? So, like, when he saw that, I think it was the overall hypocrisy and it seeming like you were coming for him on something that, like, you mostly would agree with him on. You know what I'm saying?
But it's funny
jarring.
Because he didn't feel that way until after he got the screenshot.
No, I'm saying the person that you were originally in the screenshot with.
Oh, talking.
Because again.
Okay, I was about to say, because I was like, we cleared everything.
I'm saying that your comment was fine the way it is, but it wasn't until you called him a pick-me that it turned into something else, because his comment wasn't pick-me-ish at all in my view, because again, like, knowing who he is to some degree, at least like where he lines on the spectrum of femininity and masculinity, there's a lot of people in his shoes with his problem. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, there's just like a lot of GNC folk, gender nonconforming folk who can't like actually date anyone. And my issue for the most part is that a lot of these motherfuckers don't date each other. So it's like, bitch, you a butch queen. You might need to find you a butch queen and do that work. But there's some other work in the idea that he feels like he should be with somebody maybe more masculine than him, and he's got to work through.
Because of heteronormative bullshit. Whatever.
Right, of course. You know what I'm saying? But that doesn't necessarily translate to him having to work on something himself for a relationship, like in a relationship, nor does it like translate to him being a fixie. So like, if you would have sent that to me, I might not have responded with such vitriol and such like heat, but I would have definitely had an opposing opinion. I would have been like, okay, wait, nah, like there's something off about you calling him a fixie, like that's happening.
I mean, which is fine. I don't like I said. I mean, the opinion is not gonna pay my bills to kill me, child. So like, I mean, it's fine. That was just my perception, and so.
Right.
Like I said, I didn't necessarily feel like it was that deep to be like, oh my gosh, like he's such a bitch. Like it just was. I said what I said. I apologize about it. I ain't taking it back. I apologize about it because that's just what my perception was at that current time.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that's just how it was. And whether old boy that I sent the screenshots to took it a certain type of way or not, I mean, it just speaks to your character if you just pop off and drop a hat. I would hate it to have been a real, actual, serious conversation. Would have blew a motherfucking gasket. Like it was not. It wasn't that. Like, I laughed when I saw it. I said, "Damn, was it really?"
I mean, I'm of a similar ilk. We got 4 minutes left, and I just want to close with this. I'm of a similar ilk that I don't like. I can't say what somebody can or shouldn't like take seriously. Like we don't know what people have gone through. We don't know people's history. We don't know like what they're currently going through. Like when people try to say, this is a little bit of a throw on the side. Like when people try to say, oh, the lady slipped up and said niggers when she was announcing Kobe's death, the white lady. Oh, she slipped up. You guys are taking it way too seriously. All this fake outrage. It's like, okay, maybe some of these people have fake outrage, but you can't make a broad statement about people's outrage when you have no idea what they went through today. Racism rears its ugly head every day. So you have no idea what this person literally went through that re-triggered them about something that happened today. And if it was something that happened last year, fuck you. You don't know how serious that thing was to them. So we can't qualify whether something is that serious for somebody else and then like tell them how to respond to a trigger. You know what I'm saying? I will say you definitely have the autonomy to not be spoken to a certain kind of way. There's no reason you should like allow yourself, you know what I'm saying, to be spoken to a certain kind of way. I feel like there needs to be stronger communication, like when it comes down to that. Because to be honest, when it comes down to it, I don't agree with that situation because I may not have felt a way, but I empathize with other people when they did feel a way, so I didn't discredit how they felt. With this situation in particular, it wasn't necessary. I mean, it was some of the words, but it was more so, you know how it's not what you say, it's how you say it. If he would he would disagree with me and be like, you know what, I don't think you was right for calling him that because I don't know if you know or not, this is my friend, and you know, I'm just going to tell you this, and this is how I would have said it. I could just go off of my experiences because I've had to do this before. Not everybody is built that way. Not everybody is built that way when they, you know what I'm saying? And that's all I'm saying. And it doesn't mean that you should then tolerate it. But we only got a minute and change left, so we got to do our closing remarks. I'm just saying everybody needs to have a level of empathy for each other. And when you're triggered, you should figure out how to say something to somebody so that y'all can respect each other. And when you see somebody is triggered, have a level of empathy, pull back and don't join them in that vibration. Because if you are indeed bigger and higher than that vibration, stay up there. But it doesn't mean that you should dismiss a person's feelings. On that note,
thank you for sitting with us tonight under the New Tree. Make sure you follow us on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you find your podcast and here on Blog Talk Radio /Anukai. I want to thank our guest, Davon Smith, for joining us tonight. This was a great discussion.
Thank you, Davon.
And just guys, really
you.
remember, like, pick-me-ism comes from a place of wanting to be accepted and wanting to be loved and be desired, but don't let your need to be desired override your integrity. And we're big on integrity here in the Anukai Tree. Join us next week for another great topic, and we'll see you guys next week. And thank you so much.
Nobody else's love is better than yours.
Yo!